Hi everyone, welcome back in another video project. We're going to be building this awesome e-commerce dashboard. So we're going to be using React, TypeScript, Tailwind CSS, ShadCN, and also we're going to be using this new tool that I created called BoltStack. And we're going to be using some reusable components if we go to the blocks section. So it has many components that you can use and everything is provided for free. And as showing you the project, so we will see some the components that I used from this website and are reused over and over again. So let me first show you what's in the first page. As you can see, so here, as you can see, we're having some cards showing some stats. We're having the top products. And if we go a little bit down, we're having the order history. So we're using read charts library to be able to actually render our data in a form of bars. And also you can be able to select the duration, and notice we're having a nice and smooth animation thanks to this library. And at the bottom, we're having the review at the right section. And finally, we're having the research or the recent orders card showing this table. And also, of course, we're having the dark mode since we're using the ShadCN, and you can be able to hide the the actual sidebar. And also, this is completely responsive, and you can be able to actually show the sidebar, as you can see, if you want to. If I go to the product page, so everything is handled smoothly. So let's go back to the dashboard and let's make this bigger. So the first functionality that I want to show you is the search product. So if I type in search like this, I'm going to be headed towards the page, the products page. So I'm going to show you how to do this. And also one thing that I didn't mention, for the state management, we're going to be using Zastand because I think it's the most easier and it doesn't have a lot of boilerplate code that you need to start with, as opposed to the React Context API. So as you can see, we're having this awesome table with all the features like filtering, the sorting, the pagination at the bottom, and the sorting and the orientation. So if we go back to our bolt stack and in the blocks section, so I want to show you something very amazing, and this is something that took me quite a while to build, and I'm providing for free. And I think it's gonna help you to save a lot of time into your projects, especially if you are building tables. And I'm not using React 10 stack, I'm just creating everything from scratch. So I already made a video on my YouTube channel. I talked about this table. It 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 is the last video. So as you can see, we're having all the elements. And if we go to the code here and if we scroll down, so as you can see, the code, it's pretty heavy because it handles everything for you. So all you have to do is to actually provide some prompts and you are ready to go. So first, in this product page, I want to show you the first feature in this page is to add the new product. So I'll click on the add new project. And also if you are into the dashboard, or when you click the new product, you're going to be headed towards the products page and a new form is going to be shown. So this is the form, so it's pretty simple. So we're going to use Zod and React 10 stack to be able to validate the form before submit it and adding it into the array. And notice that the button add product is disabled because we need to fill out all the actual forms. Then we can be able to access the button and add the button. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to just add something random like this. And also we're having this actual box that also I created by myself, and also it is completely reusable. So if I go back to the Bolt stack, so we can go to the, I think, so we can go to the dialog form. So it's something that I didn't commit it, so it's something that you will find into the website. So anyway, so here I can select the icon and also I can add a price, a random price like this. And also I can add the stock. And also let's change the category and let's add something like this. And notice right now the add product button is clear and I can safely add a new product. So if I click on add product, so we're going to have this notification with the loading state, and we're going to be using React hot toast notification that has many amazing features, like it handles the promise. And notice our new product has been added successfully. So I can click on this product and I can modify it if I want to, like this. And I can change the icon, and also I can unpublish this and click on edit product. So as you can see, our product has been changed successfully. So also we're having into the actions section, we're having this cool drop down, so you can view it, you can copy it. So when I click on the copy, as you can see, we're going to have the notification and the actual item has been copied. And finally, you can delete the product by clicking on the delete. So speaking about the deletion, this table also handles the multi-selection. So if I select these elements like this, as you can see, we're going to have this new element showing up at the top of the table. You can clear the selection, and we're having this little button. So when I click on it, as you can see, the actual products has been deleted with the number of them. So this table handles this multi-selection. And also at the bottom, we're having the pagination. So as you can see, when I set how many rows per page, also these elements are going to be changing as well. And we can be able to sort by price. So also these elements, you can add them by prompts, and the calculation like this, and extracting all the labels from the array that you provided inside the table, it's going to be done automatically with the logic of calculating how many elements in each item. So as I said, it's going to be a time saver, especially for our case when you want to create multi or many tables in the project. So now let's go to the orders page. So the orders page, again, we're going to use a table to be able to organize our information, but I added something new at the top, some stats, and also I added the search. Since we don't have a search bar for the orders, we only have in it for the product at the top or at the navbar. So as you can see, we are using the same table, but here we're having different informations, like depending on the area that we provided. And also we can search by the order ID if we want to, and the search is going to be handled for us automatically. And finally, to not make this intro longer, I'm going to go to the categories. So this is where you can handle the categories. So if you remember, if we go back to our products form, as you can see, we're having this category page, and this category page is linked directly to the categories page. Like here, we can be able to add, delete, and modify the category, and also you can be able to actually search the category if you want to. Like for example, and also how we're having how many products that each category has. For example, if we go to the grocery, so this actual dialog is going to be opened up, and I'm going to add the something here, and also I'm going to change the icon. I'm going to click on edit the category. So if we go back to the product, and if we sort by category, as you can see, the new word that I added is here. And then when I selected all the products that already have only groceries, now they're going to have the test or the new word that I added. And also if we go to the form, as you can see, the new icon has been updated into the category. So they are completely synchronized. And also the same thing is going to happen when I delete the category. And if I go back to the products. So for the products that already have the category groceries will have no category. So I don't remember which one that already have the category, but if we go to the category filter by, so as you can see, you will not find the groceries because it has been deleted. And also, if we want to select the groceries, so it's not going to be found inside the products drop down. And also, you can add a category. So I'm going to just type in something like this. And also, we're going to be using React hook form and Zot. And when I click on the new category, so it's going to be added. So this is the new category. And if we go back to the product form, so let's open this up. So we're going to find it in here to be able to select it when we want to create a new uh, product. And so this is what we're going to be building. So this project has too many features to build, and also we're going to be learning a lot of things, and it's going to enable you to actually amp up your React skills and also your TypeScript skills. So if you are really interested about building this project, stick with me till the end of this video. Hi everyone, welcome back. So as you can see, we are again in the BoltStack.dev. One thing that I didn't mention in the demo of the project is also in this website, we can be able to actually generate NextJs boilerplate code. So you can skip the initial setup and actually focus on the code. So you will find the link down below in the description. So after heading into the website, click on the Get Started Now. And as you can see, you are going to be headed towards this paper. So the first step, we need to provide some information of our project, like the project name and the description. And as you can see at the right side, we're having this preview, this live preview. So anything that we're doing in here, it's going to be changed on the right side. So I'm going to choose the ecom dash, which is the name of our project. And also you can change the icon as well. So all you have to do, so I typed coin, and also you can choose whatever icon that you want. And for the description, so I'm going to add this is an ecom dashboard. So after this, click on next. So the next step is for the actual styling. So the first thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna choose the pop-in. So I'm gonna leave all the other things as they are, and I'm gonna actually change the icon. So let me go a little bit up just to see how things are looking. So I think I'm gonna stick with this icon. It is pretty close to the colors that I choose for the project. And after this, click on next. And the next or the final step is just a preview of all the things that we selected so far. So after this, click on generate and you will generate a boilerplate, the file that has all the boilerplate or all the files or the folders needed to be able to actually generate or create a Next.js project. So after this, extract the folder. So I'm gonna do it in here. I'm gonna create a new folder like this. So let me delete the one number and click on OK. So I'm gonna actually close this and I'm gonna open up the Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio Code, and after this, so let me close this folder. So I'm gonna open up the folder that I newly created. So this one, and select the folder. So this is the project, as you can see. So if we open up the app folder, so we're having these components that already created automatically. So we're having the dark mode, and also if we go to the page.jsx, so we're having the code for the actual landing page that I'm providing in this uh, in this boilerplate code generator. So we're having the theme provider. And also if we go to the package.json, as you can see, the most popular libraries that already in the dependencies object. So all you have to do is to just type in npm install all the dependencies, and you are ready to go. So this is what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna open up the terminal and I'm gonna type in npm install to install all the dependencies and hit enter. So it's gonna take me a while to install all these dependencies. So I'll be back after finishing the installation. So as you can see, the installation has finished. So all I have to do, just type in npm run dev to run the server. And I'm gonna go back to the browser, create a new tab, and choose local 3000. So it is compiling. So as you can see, this is the project. The project successfully running with this simple landing page that I provided with the boilerplate generator, as you can see. So the dark mode, we already have it right off the bat, so we don't have to actually waste time to set things up and just focus on the project. And this is the actual project, as you can see. So everything is provided for you. And also, if we go to the global.css, uh, like uh, you will find the colors, and also the font has been added successfully in the project. So that's going to save you for about 30 minutes to 40 minutes of time to focus on starting building your project. So after we install successfully our project, so the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to get rid from this whole landing page, and we're going to start adding the reusable components. And the first component that we're going to be adding from this website is the sidebar. So if we go to the blocks section, as you can see, we're gonna use heavily all of these components inside the dashboard section. So if we go to the sidebar, so this is the actual component that we're gonna be using. And so I made this component modulable and customizable, so you can be able to get wherever um, look that we want, depending on the overall design of the project. So let's go back to our VS Code, and the first thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go to the page.tsx, and I'm gonna get rid from the hero section and also the feature section. So let's delete all of these elements in here. So I think that I need to disable the auto completion that is provided by uh, Copilot. And so I'm gonna stick with the navbar because it has the up logo functional component that we can reuse in our sidebar. So let's close this, and so I'm gonna comment this out. So let me delete this one. And the next thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back to the website, to the BoltStack, copy the code, and I'm gonna, inside the components folder, I'm gonna create sidebar, a new file. I'm gonna call it sidebar.tsx. All you have to do is just paste the code in here. So normally you won't have any issues because I already tested this out many times, and I used it to build this whole project that I showed you at the beginning of this video. So after this, what I'm gonna do, so I'm going to type in sidebar one, which is the component that we created. And if we go back to our file or to our page, so as you can see, this is our sidebar. So eventually we are going to do many things, so it's not going to look like this. So we are going to actually update or use the prompts that this component provides to be able to actually get the result that we want. So this is the final design of our sidebar. And the best part is I've been able to create this in a matter of minutes because of this reusable components. So we provided many prompts so you can be able to customize this and add many other things as we move on with our project. And also the selection is totally handled by the component, and also you can be able to hide the actual sidebar, and notice that the name is hidden, and also the actual names of each item is hidden, so so that can fit the width of the sidebar. So let's go back to the VS Code to show you how I created this. So the first thing that I did, so I added this sidebar folder. So instead of using the sidebar component right inside the components folder, so just for organization, so what I did, I created this folder and I put it inside of it, this sidebar.tsx. So inside this sidebar.tsx, I'm going to show you what's in this actual code. So here we are importing some icons, but also we're importing the sidebar one component, which is inside this components folder, which is the main component that I took from here. So let's go back to the sidebar.tsx. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is this array. So this is the because the elements that are here are an array of objects. So we're having the icon and the name. So this is how you would create this array. So I called it nav item arrays, and we're having an object of icon and name. So and after this, all we have to do is just take this array and assign it to this prompt called nav items prompt. So the sidebar actually handles many prompts, but right now I want to just show you the main ones to be able to create this actual sidebar with the design that I showed you. So we're having the domain name, we're having the show call to action. You can actually hide this show call to action card, which is this one. So all you have to do is just use this prompt, and also we're having show top separator, so you can hide the actual separator beneath the name and the logo. And also if we go back here, we're having the domain object. So I created this prop with an object of two properties, the name and the icon. So this prop, it's so this prompt, it's going to actually render what's in here, the icon and the name. And finally, we're having the user profile object that is positioned at the bottom. And also notice here, the selection is handled by the logic or by the component itself, so you don't have to add anything, but also you can click on here and actually make this sidebar look like this, and also as you can see, the text has been hidden automatically, so everything is handled by the component, so you can save a lot of time, but also make your code base a lot less cluttered. So this is this is how I created the sidebar. So it's pretty straightforward, and it's pretty easy, and also it's a time saver. So after we added successfully our sidebars, so the next component that I added is the navbar. So this is the navbar that I added from this website. So as you can see, so this is the first look of the navbar. So the first thing that we need to do, we need to copy this code and go back to the project inside the components folder. I created this new file. You can call it whatever you want, and just paste the whole code in here. So after this, what we are going to do, so I created a new file or a new folder called the content area, and I placed the actual component that we just added it in here. So we called it and we used it inside the content area. So the reason why I did so because we are going to actually render each component, which is each page in the content area. So we're gonna use a function to be able to actually render each actual component. So because we're gonna use the same dashboard or the same navbar, so that's why we placed it in here. And another thing that I want to show you in the page.tsx, so make sure to actually call the content area component, which is this one. And also I added these utility classes, the background slate 100. And when it turns to dark, it's going to be this color, and make sure to add flex position. So these component, which is this one content area, it's going to be next to the sidebar. So as you can see, it was pretty easy to add this component rather than trying to create this by yourself from scratch. So it's time saver. So this component also it's customizable. So I'm gonna add some stuff, then I'll be back by using the prompts of this component to make sure that's gonna look like the project that I showed you at the beginning. So this is the final design of our navbar, as you can see. So it looks pretty much the same to the product that I showed you. So we're having the dashboard of and its icon, the search bar, the button, and also I added this dark mode toggle. So this button actually it's gonna be used to be able to show the sidebar in the mobile size screen. And finally, we're having this part, so it's going to stick like this since we're not going to use it. So, and the best part here, as I'm going to show you, it's very easy to actually customize this, and it's going to save you a lot of time. So let's go back to the content area.tsx. So this is where we placed our dashboard navbar component. So as you can see, it accepts many components. So we're going to start by the class name. So this is uh, so um, this is the utility classes. So the height is going to be 105 pixel. The background is going to be inherent to be able to inherit the background of the parent component. The border is none, and we added a little bit of pixel. So the search prompt also it accepts the search prompt that has three elements: the placeholder, the value, and the onChange. So after that, or later on, we're going to be using states to be able to actually make sure that the source of the product is working. But for now, I'm just showing you how to be able to customize this component. So the username, it's going to be admin. The avatar fallback, it's going to be EM. So this part, it's going to be actually used to be able to render what's in here. And we're having the icon buttons. So this icon buttons actually is an array of React node. And just to show you how things are working, like if I add something like this, so the reason why I added it like this, so you can be able to actually add, so let me add the key here because it is an array, and I'm going to add something random like this. So as you can see, it's going to be added in here. So you can be able to actually add wherever icon, wherever component in here. So this is why I added this icon buttons as an array. So let me delete this. So here we are adding this mode toggle component, which is provided by ShadCN. So the only change that I did here is I changed the variant by ghost so you can be able to get rid from the white color of the button. And as you can see, it is working as expected because the tab that I did for each element inside the icon buttons, it's React Node, so you can accept wherever we want inside this array. And also we're having this icon to be able to open up the sidebar in the mobile screen, and we're having the button area which actually handles this button. So it accepts these three properties: the text, the icon, and the on-click button. And finally, we're having the left section, so you can be able to customize this. So if we go back to our component, we're having this text, but here, as you can see, we're having an icon and a dashboard. And also in the left section, so the left section is, as you can see, is of type React Node, so you can add whatever you want inside the left section to make it customizable for the user to actually fit the design that he wants. So as you can see, it's pretty easy to actually create this dashboard navbar. And if you would do this by yourself, it's going to take you a lot of time. So that's why I'm using this BoltStack, which is something that I'm so proud of it because it helped me to really speed up the process of building the project and and just focus on the core element of the application. So after we added the navbar, so the next element that I added, as you can see, these guards to show some stats. And also we're gonna be using the reusable components from this website to save some time. Uh, if we go back to the blog section at the bottom and the dashboard section, uh, go to the statistic cards, click on it, and we're gonna use the last one. So just copy this code and first make sure to add it inside the components folder. So I created this file called statcards and just paste all the code in here. So now let's go to the project, and first I want to just show you the things that I did. So I did some updates into the structure of our code. So as you can see, I created a new folder called dashboard. So uh, this folder has the dashboard.tsx, and since the dashboard has many sections, so if we go back to our application, the final project, so the dashboard has many sections, as you can see, the top product, the order history, the reviews. So what I did here, for each section, I'm going to create a folder of it inside the dashboard. And since the content area has 4 pages, so for organization, for each page, I'm going to create its own folder. And within each folder, I'm going to create the sections for each page. So this is the actual organization of our project. It's going to be like. So now, if we go to the content area, so the content area, it's going to have the dashboard navbar component that I showed you, and at the bottom, it's going to be dashboard. Of course, this it's not, we're not going to hard code this, so we're going to use, so later on, we're going to be using the state management to be able to actually update the page whenever we click on one of these elements. But for now, we are going to just use the dashboard since we are working on it. And inside the dashboard folder, so I created the statistic cards. So this statistic cards, it's going to have 2 files, this one for the core component and this one for the data. So here we are importing the statcards3 from this component that we just added, and these are the prompts that we are using right now. So we're using, of course, the cards to get the information from the class name, the show metric delta, so you can be able to actually hide these metrics by just using this prompt. So we are setting it to false. The card class name, so you can be able to actually customize each card that you want, all of them at once, not by one, by using the card class name property or prompt show icons. And so we are setting to true, but it is set to true by default. And the layout orientation, so you can set it horizontally like this by using this prompt. So if I do this, so we're having vertical. So if I do this and I go back, so as you can see, I'm gonna have them vertical like this. So all I have to do is just to use this prompt, so I don't have to go to the component and change the code needed to be able to actually get the layout that you want. So I'm gonna stick with the horizontal like this. And I'm going to show you the array that I used for the cards prompt. So this is the array. So this is the structure of each object, the title, the value, the icon, and also it has other properties. Um, so because I didn't set the actual type of this array, so TypeScript doesn't know which are the properties, but it has also the colors properties, as you can see, because I'm actually commenting this out. If we go back to our components, so it accepts to change the colors by using this property. So the metric delta, the positive metric, true or false, the description. So this is the area that we're using, and we are using it right in the cards prompt and this component to be able to actually get access to the component and render everything like this. So as you can see, it is pretty easy and pretty simple and straightforward. So all you have to do is to know how to use this prompt, and you can save a lot of time by creating this card. Eventually, the layout of the dashboard is going to be changing. So because as you can see, we're having the right section. So I'm going to be adding this, of course. So after we created the statistic cards, the next element that I added is, as you can see, this chart. So also we're going to be reusing a component from the BoltStack. So also one thing that I want to show you is when I turn the dark mode on, as you can see, like the colors are gonna fit the dark mode automatically since we're using ShadCN. So let's show you how to be able to create this and this actual card. For the information that we're having in here, just mock data. And what we will see, I've been able to create this in a matter of minutes. So if we go back to the Bolt stack again, so at the bottom in the dashboard section in the chart cards, so now I'm having two cards, two elements. We're having this one and this one. So this is what we're going to be using. So just copy this code and go back to the project and inside the components folder. So I created a new file where we're going to be saving our component and adding it in here. So as you can see, it is a pretty long code. It has 400 lines of code, and because it handles many things. So after this, what I did inside the dashboard folder, so I created this new folder called the order history chart, and inside of it, I created the order history.tsx. So this is the main chart card area, and then all you have to do just import this inside the dashboard.tsx underneath the statistic cards. So now I'm going to show you how to use this component. So it might be a little bit complicated for some of you because I'm using this structure, but also I'm using some types. But I'm not going to get into the details to not make the project or the video longer. So I'm going to focus only how to be able to use this component. So as you can see, we're having the title, description, the class name, the chart custom size. So this is going to actually handle the height of the chart. So if I do this, for example, and then I go back, so as you can see, it's going to change the height. Probably I need to change the name of the prompt, call it something like chart height size. We're having the x-axis data and the y-axis data, which are the data that we're using in the actual object. and the footer text and the show card legend. So you can set it to true or false to be able to hide the legend that we're having at the bottom. So now let's go to the actual data. So it has these objects, so they are mandatory because I defined it this way inside the component. So we're having the x-axis data and the y-axis data. So these are the elements and these for the y-axis data, so you can provide as many objects that you want as long as you are following the same structure in each object. And also these types are coming from the component as you can see. So make sure to add them like this. Otherwise, Typescript will throw an error because it's not going to know the type of each object. So that's why I defined it this way. So, and finally, we can be able to actually use this component inside the dashboard component like this, and you are ready to go. So, eventually, as we move on with our projects, some of the things that we're going to be added with the stage management and also with the data. But for now, this is how we can be able to create our chart, and it's a time saver because if you want to create this one by you from scratch, it's going to take you a lot of time. So that's why I'm providing this, and that's why I created this tool to actually speed up the process building, especially dashboards that take a lot of time to build. So after we created the history and the stats, as you can see right now, I created the next component, which is the table to be able to show the recent orders. So this is how our table is going to look like. The same that I created into the project that I showed you at the beginning of this video. So let's start creating this. So the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to go to the data tables section. So if we go back to the blocks page, so click on the data table and just copy this code, all this code, copy it by hitting the copy code button. And the next element that we're going to do, we are going to create. So I added it inside this file. So as you can see, it is 1061 a line of code. It's a lot because it handles, as I said, everything from filtering, sorting, everything is done dynamically based on the data that you provided and the prompts that you used. So after we've done this, so we are going to add some stuff. Of course, we're going to add the first thing is this folder data. So because we're going to be adding other data related pages like products and categories, so that's why I created a new folder called orders so we can be able to organize everything in here. First, I'm going to go to the initial orders data. So the first thing that I did, I created this object called the order list header. So you will know why I created this because this is how I engineered the components. So we need to provide first the order list header that we're going to be using in the header. So this is going to be saved as an object like this, and then we are going to provide the rows prop as I'm going to show you. So this is the data. So I called it initial orders data, and this is how it's going to be structured for each object: the order ID, the customer, the product, the category, the created ad, the payment, the amount, the times, and the status. Some of the columns are hidden and we are going to actually show everything once we get into the orders page. So the next thing that I'm going to show you is the transform data. So this function, what's going to do for each property, we are going to actually extend it by adding some GSX element. So we are going to take so this is the function. It's going to accept as a prompt the initial orders data, and this type is coming from the order types.js to be able to actually extract the type uh, from the array. So we're going to use the keyword, the built-in keyword from Typescript type of to be able to actually extract the type of the array, and then we're going to use the number so you can be able to actually access to the type of each single structure. So if we hover over the order, as you can see, we can be able to extract the type, and here we're having other types like the order status, the payments. So these are the union types. So I'm going to show you why we created them. So let's go back to our function. So we need to tell TypeScript this is how this area is gonna be structured, and then we're gonna use the map function to iterate through each order. And here we're using the spread operator, so we can save the other elements uh, the other elements, and the only thing that we are going to do, we are going to actually work with these elements: the status, the payment, the order ID, the amount, and the created at. So these, because we defined them like this, so the properties are going to be changing, because this is going to be it's going to be referred as a GSX. So the reason why we're doing so you can be able to actually add the elements like this for the PayPal, for the payment, for example. We're having this batch tag, we're having also this batch tag. So that's why we did all of this. And here we are asserting the order.status as the order status. So just TypeScript stuff. And here, as you can see, we are using some utility functions to be able to actually render for example, for the order status badge. So this it's going to actually render um, based on the status type, which could be delivered, pending, return. So if it is delivered, we are going to actually use this utility classes that we're going to use them in the class name, so you can be able to get the color based on status. So this is what we're having in here. And to be able to actually get that kind of thing, we need to create this built-in function called render ordered status badge. And then we are going to be using it in here, and it's going to accept as an argument order that status. So this is what we defined in here. So the reason why we did so, just to make sure that everything is type safe. So when we add something else that is not inside the order status, TypeScript is going to throw an error. So the same thing that we did for the payment. So we use this render payment badge, and we are using the same principle, the same logic. Here the payment, so we're using a map, so we're using key a value. So for the key PayPal, we're going to use this icon. The credit card, we're going to use this icon, and so forth. And then we're going to return this GSX, and then we're going to access to the payment map, since it is a map, and then we are going to use this as an index to be able to actually extract the icon that we want based on the payment that we provided inside the prompt. And finally, we are going to show the payments that we got the from the prompt. And this is what we are going to have as a result inside the payment column. So hopefully that I explain all of this. So it might be complicated for some of you. So that's why uh, you need to have a little bit of experience. You already built some projects, so because this project is not a beginner friendly. So this is how this transform data function look like, because we're going to use this inside our table as I'm going to show you. So hopefully that I explained everything in here. Now I'm going to show you how to use this reusable component that we got from BoltStack.dev. So the next thing that I'm gonna go to the dashboard dashboard folder, and I created the recent order folder, and inside of it I added this recent orders.tsx. So this is the actual component that we got. So this is how we are gonna use it. So as you can see, we are at the top, we are importing it from the data table that we added inside the components folder. So we're having the headers, the order list header. So that's going to come from this file as I showed you. The rows, so we're going to use the transformed orders function that I showed you, and we're going to pass inside of it this initial orders data. So if we go back in here again, just to remind you, so this is going to accept this array as an order as a type order, and we added the square brackets telling TypeScript that this should be an array. And then for the remaining prompts, they are very easy. So we're having the show actions colon is false. So if we turn this to true and we go back to our our project, as you can see, this show action is going to be shown up with the actual drop down automatically. We're going to get automatically this because I added them inside the component logic. We're having the row height, the title, the columns to hide. So we are hiding one column, which is the item, the class name, the show borderline. So if we turn this to true and we go back again, so we're going to have this borderline. So it's not going to look that great. And so I added it for in a case that you want this, the description and the call to action. So this is how we can be able to use this component, and this component is completely reusable. So we can be able to actually use it in the products page, in the orders page. So this is the power of using these reusable components. And the best part here, because this took me quite a while, and it was a complete headache even if I'm using AI, but I'm providing it for free just to actually use it into your projects. And just makes things much easier to create stuff like this, especially for the dashboards. And the next component, as you can see, is the top products. So also, if you notice that the layout right now changed because there is one component left that we need to add it, which is the reviews. So I had to do some of the changes inside the dashboard component that I'm going to show you to be able to create this layout. So also we're going to be using a reusable component to be able to create this a lot faster. So this is the component that we are going to be using called list card. So it's going to be inside the list card section or page. So we're having two cards that we're going to be using. So this one for the products and this one for the reviews. And also it's completely reusable. So the first step, make sure to copy this and add it inside the components folder. So I created it inside the listcard.jsx. So this is the component that I'm using to be able to render the list card. But before this, so let me show you from the start what I did. So I'm going to go first to the dashboard.jsx. As you can see, I made some changes to be able to actually create this layout. So I used uh, the flex one and also the flex column as well. So here we're having the first part, um, which is this one, and then at the bottom we're having the recent orders table so that it can take the whole width. And so this part is going to be divided into section the left and the right. So this is for the left section and this is for the right section. And also we're using flex1, and also we're using some media queries for responsiveness. And this is for the top products area. So we put it inside this div because we're going to be adding another component called reviews area underneath it. So let's go first to the top products folder that I newly created. So I added two files. So this one to be able to render the list guard component that we got from the Bolt stack, and this one to be able to actually do some transformations or creating our top products data that we're going to be using. So it's going to be a static data to be able to actually render it this way and to see how things are looking before we can use it with the real data that we're going to be using later on. So here we are defining our product structure, the ID, the product, the price, and the call to action. So this is going to be only for this actual component. So it's not going to be for the overall table that we're going to be using for the products page. And here we are going to create a new array. So we're having this uniform array, which is a utility type that I created inside the list guard, and what it does, it's going to make sure that the so it's gonna make sure. So normally I use this to be able to actually make sure that our product array is type safe that we are using in here. So, so that's why I created this one. So let's go back to our file, and I'm gonna go over this very quickly. So we're having, uh, uh, as I mentioned, it is an array, and we're having this object. So the product, the call to action. So we're gonna use right now two elements. So that's why we use the emit utility type, which is a built-in utility type in TypeScript. So, and also we're using for each element, we're using, since we defined it as a gsx.element, so you can be able to add the gsx as you can see here, and the same thing that we did for the call to action. So we can use this, so that's why we added the export, and we can use this and add it inside the data prompt in the list guard functional component. So we're having the description, we're having the skeleton row. So because this also one thing that I want to show you when I add the is loading. So it also I added the logic of skeleton to show when you are loading the data. Uh, so this is going to be a part of this component. And finally, we're having the title, which can also accept both uh, text and gsx.elements. So if you want to add more stuff in this title and make it customizable and flexible. So finally, we're going to actually call this top products area inside the dashboard as it is to be able to actually render this component. So as you can see, even though that we are using these reusable components that really took me a lot of time to build, but it's going to save you a lot of time after when we start creating projects. But even we are using these reusable components, so it took us a lot of time to actually build all of this. So so that's why it's very important to create reusable components and reuse them rather than just like doing the same thing over and over again. So now our dashboard page is completed by adding the last piece, which is the reviews component. So as you can see, everything is looking great. If I turn the dark mode on, as you can see, it looks even better, I think. So we're gonna be using this list card 2 component that I showed you. So again, copy this code and added it inside the components folder. So this is the actual component. And after this, what we're gonna be doing, we're gonna be creating a new folder called the total reviews. And here we are going to add our data. So we're gonna be using it just for now. Um, and notice here we're using the list guard data. So this is going to come from this component because I defined the structure of it. And it's going to be a label name, progress number, value string, and the progress color. So it's going to be, this is going to be optional. if we want to change the indicator color and the background color of the progress bar. So after doing this, I added also another folder or another file inside the same folder called total reviews. And here we are going to actually render our component that we got from BoltStack. So here, of course, it accepts the data, which is the reviews data that we got from this file. We're having the title. So the title, it has the label and the class name. Both are optional, but now we're going to use the label, the description as well, the class name, the show footer, because it has a footer. So we are going to hide it by setting it to false. And the right side element, we're going to just add empty React fragment just to be able to add or to hide the see more button that is in here. So this is basically how we can uh, add our product review. So it's very simple thanks to this reusable component. So now, after we completed our dashboard, the next step that we are going to do is we are going to make this a whole dashboard responsive before we can go and move on to the next page, which is the product page. So after we completed the UI of our dashboard, the next thing that I worked on is the responsiveness. So the application or all the elements are mostly responsive. So the thing that I worked on mainly is the sidebar. Just to show you, for example, when the size is like this, the sidebar is gone. The only way to be able to open this up is by clicking on this icon. And as you can see, I can access to the sidebar. So when I click outside of it, it's going to be closed. And also the I can change the elements just by clicking on one of these. So when I click on it, it's gonna be closed. So I'm going to show you the code that I did. And uh, the first uh, part that I'm going to show you is the hooks that I used to be able to create this. So the first hook that I'm going to show you is this one. So this one really handles the click outside of the sidebar. So whenever I click on this, so it's going to handle this for us. So we're going to use this in the sidebar.tsx to be able to actually trigger that. And we're having the use search store. So this one we're using Zastand as a state management. So this is going to be linked to this search input of our dashboard. So it's pretty easy stuff. We're having the search product and the set search product. And for each store that you want to create, you need to define the type that or the structure of all the elements that you will add inside each store. So the search product is going to be a string. The set search product, it's going to be a function of type void that's going to accept an argument or a parameter as a string. And the clear search, it's going to be a simple function of type void. And here we are defining or assigning each thing. So the search product is going to be an empty string. The set search product, we're going to use the set parameter provided by Zestan to be able to update the search product. And finally, we're having the clear search function that's going to actually set the search product as an empty string. So that's the second hook. The third hook, so this is has a little bit of code, but I'm gonna explain everything. So I'm gonna start from here. I'm not gonna talk about the structure. So here we're having the selected nav item and the set selected nav item. So one thing that I want to show you here is if I use the IntelliSense, as you can see, I can access to all the names of our sidebar menu. So the reason why we're having this because we're using utility type called nav item names. So this utility type, I added it inside the sidebar.tsx, which is a generic type to be able to actually access to the name properties of each object. So if we go to the sidebar.tsx, our array has uh, 4 objects and each one has the name. So we're going to access to the value of each name. And to be able to do this, we're going to use Typescript for this. We're going to use this utility type. And of course, we're going to use the type of the array that I showed you to be able to extract the types and use them as generic inside the nav item name. So that's why I said at the beginning of this video, this product or this project is not a beginner friendly. You need to have a bit of experience with TypeScript and React. So that's my warning at the beginning of this video. So we're having the set selected nav item to be able to update this one. The mobile breakpoint, I set it to 1024. Open hidden is mobile. So you will see how we're going to use this inside the sidebar.tsx. And finally, we're having these setters to be able to update these two states, and the same for the set is mobile to update the is mobile. And finally, we're having the use window size. So we're going to use this to be able to actually track the actual window size uh, when we are changing it. So this use window size is going to do this for us. So now let's go to the sidebar.tsx and I'm going to show you how to be able to use all of these elements. So first, we're going to use this use sidebar store that I showed you, and we're going to actually access to all these dates. We're having the clear search from the use search store, as I showed you, the width to access to the width that we are tracking. So we're using the is client. So this because the reason why we're doing this, as I'm going to show you, is only we are gonna use or access to JavaScript functions only when we are fully in the client side. Um, because the width, so as you can see, if we go back here, it's going to use the window object. So we do, as you know, Next.js starts, all the components starts are server components, and the window object is a client component. So when we start the project, if we use the use window size right off the bat, so it's not gonna access to the window objects because it is still on the server side, and we're gonna have some hybridation problems when we are running our application at the beginning. So that's why we define this state only when we are in the client side, then we can use the JavaScript. And finally, we're having the sidebar ref because we're going to be using it uh, in here to be able to access to the sidebar into the DOM. So let's start by this use effect. So this use effect, it's going to be called whenever the selected nav item changes. So we're going to clear the search, and also we are going to check if the width is lesser or equal than the mobile breakpoint, which is 1024. We are going to close the we're going to close the sidebar like this. So here, as you can see, it is opened and now it is 1024 pixel width. So this, it's going to be triggered since the open state is linked to the open prompt that I'm providing in here. So let me look at the actual prompt. And after this, we're having this use click outside. So we are going to actually provide the sidebar ref, and also we're going to provide this function, and also we're going to provide this condition. And here, as you can see, we're using the is client. Uh, so we're using the Stirring operator. So if it is true, then we're gonna use this. Otherwise, we're gonna use 250 pixel. And then we're gonna use opened with this property that I created inside the sidebar. And also we're using the show overlay. So the overlay is this part which is black. So this only will be triggered if the is client and the width is less than the mobile breakpoint and it is open. And also we're having the on overlay click. So we're going to actually set the open as false. We're having the hide sidebar. So it's going to be linked to the hidden, the set hide sidebar. So we're going to link it to its setter. And finally, we're having in this class name, uh, if it is client and the width is lesser than this mobile breakpoint. So we're going to open it up. So if it is open, we're going to use the fixed position. Otherwise, we're going to use the hidden. So as you can see, it's a pretty complex process, even though that it looks very easy to build because we're using some custom hooks and we're using some very advanced patterns to be able to actually create a simple feature. So as you can see, our dashboard is completely responsive with the sidebar. So the next element or the next page that we're going to start working on is the product page. So the next thing that I added is working on navigating across all the pages and the sidebar. To show you when I click on the product, as you can see, this is going to be changing to the name of the element that I clicked on and also its icon. So the same for the orders and the same for the categories. And also another thing that I added is when I type in the search, as you can see, I'm going to be headed towards the products page. So we're going to be using the hooks that I showed you. So inside the content area.tsx, first we need to actually access to all of these elements from these hooks. And then we are going to create a function. So based on this function or based on the selected nav item, as you can see, it is a union type because of this utility type that I showed you. So if it is a dashboard, we are going to return the dashboard component. So the same for the products, the same for the orders, and the same for the categories. And also we're having another function. So this function is going to actually extract the icon like that we are using in here from the nav items array. And as you can see, we're using the find index. So we are comparing the item.name, like all the names inside each item of the nav items array with the selected nav item. And then we are gonna get the index as a number and to be able to access to the icon. So we're gonna use the index as a key and then we're going to access to the property icon. And here finally we're having the handle search change. So this we're gonna be using inside the onChange event listener. So first we're going to get access to the text that we typed in, and then we are gonna use this condition value that trim. So we are going to actually trim all the white spaces, and then we are going to set the selected nav item to product, and we're using this function to not lose our focus when we are going or changing to the products page. Like if I don't do this, so you will see what's going to happen. So let me save the file. So I'm gonna reload the page. So if I do this, so as you can see, the focus is lost. So I need to click again. So this actually will solve the problem for us. Otherwise, we're going to set the search a product as a value. So eventually we need to do some addings into this component, like the search prompts. So before I just added inside the value temporarily an empty string. So now it is linked to the search product, and the onChange event listener, it is linked to the handle search change. And also another thing that I added at the bottom, we are going to use this function, the render component function in here, since it's going to return a gsx.element. And also we updated this part, which is the left section, to be able to actually render the icon and the name based on what we clicked on the sidebar. So we're gonna use this function that I showed you and to be able to actually render the icon. And for the name, we're gonna just use the select nav item. So this is basically what I did right now. Now we can fully start working on the products page. So this is the products page, as you can see, with our table. And also another thing that I want to show you is the search. As you can see, our search is working. So let me show you what we are having in our product page. And again, we're going to use this table for BoltStack to be able to save a lot of time. All you have to do to provide the data and the prompts, and you are ready to go. So if I would create this by myself manually, that's going to take me a lot of time. And as I showed you at the beginning of this video, we're having another table in the orders page. So it's going to be a total waste of time. So that's why I created this table to actually have all the main features of a table and make it reusable. So I'm going to show you, like, for example, just by providing the data that you're having in the table. So everything, all the calculations, the names and the numbers, it's going to be done automatically inside the logic of the component. And as you can see, I can select the elements that I want, and you will get the product that has the category that you selected. And if I click on reset all, you can actually clear the filter. So the same for the draft. If I select draft, as you can see, I'm having two items, and this is what we're having in our table. And also we can be able to sort by the price, by the creation date, and um, notice whenever I select the sorting, as you can see, this icon is changing just to let the user know which column is sorted by. And also we're having descendant and ascendant and descendant. So and also here, so we're having the multi-selection as well to be able to actually delete many items at once if you want to. And also we're having these two buttons inside the drop down. So these are the default drop down that I'm providing with the component, but also you can actually create your own custom drop down with their on-click event listeners. And finally, in the table, as you can see, we're having the icon, the name of the product, the price, the category, the status, the stock, and the rating. So for the elements that has or that have GSX items like the icons and the badge and the stars, so we're going to use utility functions to be able to actually create this. So let's go back to our project to show you what I did. So the first thing that I did, I added more products. So those I just asked Gemini because I think is the most performant one that I'm using to generate data because it's very fast. So just to be able to generate more products to test by. And also I created another file called transformed products data. So this file, it's actually, we are going to use the main array that I showed you, and then we are going to actually add more stuff into it, or more GSX elements and some of the properties that we want, like the name and the status, the category, the price, and also the created at, the written display. So for the name, as you can see, we're using GSX elements, and also we're using the on-click event listener. So this one, it's going to actually scroll up when you click on the elements that you want. So the reason why we're doing this, for example, if you are actually down here searching for a product, when you click on it, it's going to go up, because one thing that we're going to be building is the actual form to be able to generate or create a new product or edit one. So that's why I added the on scroll. So, and also one thing that I did, I made the values of the when I set the type inside the table, I made the values to be able to accept the GSX elements, so you can be able to, because I knew that we want to do this, so that's why I made it flexible. And then we're having the status, so we're going to use this render badge function to be able to actually render as a badge tag based on what we provided as a status. And also we're having the category, so we're going to use the GSX. And here I use the text primary to be able to actually get the color, the blue color, which is the primary color of our project. So that's why I added this span tag inside the category property. We're having the price, so we're going to reuse this format price again in this component. And finally, we're going to have the written display. So we're going to use this utility function to be able to actually get the number of stars based on the number. So I'm not going to get into the logic of it. So you can just ask ChatGPT or any AI model to be able to generate this very quickly for you. So this is basically how I created this. And finally, I'm going to go to the products page. So I created inside the products folder a new file called the product table, because we're going to be adding, as I said, a form just for organization purposes. And here, as you can see, the first thing that I added is the search product from the use search store that I showed you, and the sort order, which is an internal state, because we're going to be using this inside the data table component. So as you can see, we're having many items and prompts. So I already showed you some of them in the recent orders component. So we're having the headers, the rows. So instead of using the products area, which is the initial array, so we're going to use the transform products data. And here in the search component, so we're going to use this object or all of these properties, and the search value is going to be linked to the search product. So that's going to trigger, that's going to link this table with the search input. So whenever I'm typing stuff in here, so it's going to do its job to be able to actually find the element. And also here, as you can see, the key to search by, so normally this search object is linked to this one. So that's why I added this hide side search input as true, but I made it uncontrollable. I let it uncontrollable because I knew that if you want, for example, so you don't have to be linked to this search bar, and you want, for example, to have a search bar in another place of inside the project. So I made it controlled and uncontrolled to be able to actually handle this situation. And also another thing that I added inside this component and is you can actually choose which key to search by. And with the IntelliSense, you can only choose the properties that we created inside the products area that we are using in the rows property. Like for example, if I choose rating, so if I do this, I'm not going to find any item, but if I do this, so normally it's going to actually do the searching. So as you can see, because we are searching by the rating, so I'm going to only have the products that have the rating 4.7. So that's a cool thing that I added into this component, and it's a time saver, man. Man, I'm so proud that I created this, to be honest with you, because it saved me hours and hours of creating tables. So we're having the show actions column. So I set it to true, the row height, the title, the class name. So those are uh, pretty straightforward prompts. And also I added the filter by prompt, which is an array. So you can be able to actually add, like for example, if I add the name and hit save, so as you can see, we're gonna have the name added automatically in here, and it's gonna do its calculation. So there's no need to add the name to search by because the name are very dynamic. So that's why I didn't add it inside the filter by array. We're having the pagination, so you can set the default row per page. So if I do this and I go down, as you can see, so let me reload the page. So the reason why we don't have, so that's the rows per page. It is 8 by default, and we're having the columns to hide prompt. So we are going to only hide the sold and the rating, show searching button. So we are setting to true. The sort is going to be by default the name prop key and the call to action. So we added the button. So the call to action is going to be referred to this part at the right side. So you can also add whatever you want. The sort order and the set sort order. So it's going to be linked to these internal states. So this is our table, and as you can see, only by just providing prompts, you are ready to go, and you can move on to the next whatever feature that you want to build. So this is our product page. So the next thing that I'm gonna start working on is the orders page, and as you will see, we're gonna follow the same process. We're gonna reuse this component, and it's gonna be very easy for us to create this page in a matter of minutes. Now our orders page is fully created in a matter of minutes, because as you can see, we're using the same design of the table, meaning that we are using the same table that we used for the products. And the only thing that is going to be changing is the data. But also notice here we're using some cards as well. So we're going to reuse another component from this website. And also we're having the order ID. So as I showed you in the product page, I, I, uh, I hide or I've hidden the search bar. So now we are going to use it in here because we don't have any other place where we can search the order list, unlike the product page. And as you can see, the sorting is working, and like the information are calculated successfully. So I can filter down if I want to, and if I want to clear everything that I'm filtering, all I have to do and click on the filtering. And also we're having the pagination is working as well. So first, uh, go to the bolt stack, the block section, and at the bottom, go to the statistic card. So now we're going to use this component. So just copy this code, but also I'm providing how to be able to use this component if you want to. So I need to work on the documentation, but this project is in its infancy, so there are a lot of things that I want to add in this project. So I created where I pasted the code inside the stat cards 1.jsx. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna create, or something that I didn't mention is I already created all the pages inside the content area in a folder. So for the orders page, I created it inside the orders folder. And I created the orders page.jsx. So this is the code. So we're having some imports here, and we're having the array, the initial order cards that we're going to be using for these cards at the top. So for each object, it's going to have the title, the value, the icon, and the description. And then I created this initial or internal search state that we're going to be using inside the data table. And then we're going to use the card one component that we got from BoltStack.dev. So uh, it provides many. So I think these are the three props for now for this card. So we need to actually provide the card's information inside the card's prompt, the class name, and the card class name. It's going to change the styling for each card simultaneously. And then at the bottom, we're having the table. Again, it is the same table, it is the same prompts, so I'm not gonna explain this again. So since it is the same table, so the only thing that is changing in here is the headers. So the headers, it's going to come from the initial orders data. So I already talked about this at the beginning of this project, but also we're having the transformed orders. So also I explained this at the beginning. So we're gonna use this or reuse this because we already used it in the order or the recent orders component. So that's the power of creating reusable components. And for the remaining prompts, so the only thing that changing are the text, like for example the title, and also based on the information because the properties are different. So the filter by it's gonna going to just add the category, the status, and the payment, and also actually changing the pagination row array, which by the way this pagination accepts two elements and didn't talk about this actual property to set your own area if you want to. Column, columns to hide, I set the initial stages, and the search object is going to be linked to the search or the internal search state. The show sorting button is true. The sort is going to be by default by the created at, and the call to action, the button, which is the export button. So as you can see, we've been able to create all of these elements very quickly by using reusable components that I'm providing in this BoltStack.dev. So one last page that we need to create, and also we're going to be using another reusable components to be able to create the cards for the categories. So this is the final design of the categories page, as you can see. So we're having this big uh, box or big card. So we're having the title, the categories, the buttons to be able to add a new category. And also we're having a working search, as you can see. And so these are the cards and the design of them. And also we're having these drop downs that are provided by default inside the component. So this is what we are going to add, and also notice that this is completely responsive right off the bat. So the component that we're going to be reusing is this one, content cards component. So I'm going to go back to the block section and go to the content cards. So I'm going to be adding more design later on. So we're going to stick with this. So as you can see, this is the actual code. And also I'm providing some example to be able to use the code in the comment section. So copy this code and paste it or add it inside the components folder. So I added it in here. So I called the file content cards.tsx. So now let's go to the next step. So we need to add some data to work with temporarily. So this is the data. So as you can see, we are importing the icons and also we're importing this single content card prompts. So this is going to come from this actual component to be able to set the structure of each card to make sure that everything is type safe. So we're having the ID, the icon, the subtitle, the title, and the date. And also we're having another property which is default optional hide drop down button. So it's going to be only set for the no categories because for the no categories, it has not to be modifiable, editable. So that's why I added this property to be able to handle this situation. And this is the remaining data of all the cards. So now let's get into the most important thing, which is the categories page. So the categories page.tsx is inside the categories page just for organization. So we are doing some imports at the top. We are setting this as a client since we're going to use the use state. We are defining or creating our search term state. So this is the GSX. So we're going to use the card header. So all of these tags from chat.cn. So we're having the card title, the card description, and the button. So later on, we're going to be using dialog instead of a button. But for now, just to get an idea of the layout that we're going to be using. So I added a button called add category, and inside the content, which is this part, so we're having the search and all the cards. So we're having the input and also we're having the content cards that I showed you. And here we're gonna use all the prompts, the grid layout, the show content, and the show footer. Um, so if I set this to true, um, so if we set this to true, we should see this part. This is the content part. So the reason why nothing is showing up because I didn't add this property inside the all cards array, show filter false cards. So the cards that I showed you inside the data folder, the class name card. So this is for each card. The search, so it's going to be linked to the search term. No found card text. So this is the text that we are going to show if we don't find the element that we want, as you can see. So it is the same text that we provided from here, so don't have to go to the component and change everything. So just to save time, and the on-clicked, title clicked. So I'm going to open up the console log and to see what's going to happen. So um, if, for example, if I click on the no categories, so as you can see, I'm going to access to the ID. So it's very important to access the ID since we are going to modify each card. So we need a unique ID to be able to know which card that we clicked on. So that's why I added the on title clicked event listener. So I try to to make sure that I handle all the edge cases inside this component. And as you can see, it's a pretty heavy component because it handles a lot of things and also to make it modulable depending on the design of the application. So now I think we created the design and the layout uh, of our whole dashboard. And as you can see, there is a lot of work that have been done to be able to create this. And we made things a bit easier by using these reusable components that I'm providing here for free, guys, man. This took me for about 2 months to build, and I'm providing this for free just to actually accelerate your workflow and the process of building elements, especially the dashboard like this. So after we created the categories page, so the next thing that I added is the dialog to add a new category. So when I click on this button, as you can see, we're going to have this beautiful dialog. And also another thing that we're having is the actual dialog to be able to choose the icon. So first, I'm going to just show you how to create this very quickly before we move on into the logic to be able to add really a new category by using Zod and React Hook form first. And also we're going to use Zustand and some functions to be able to do this. Again, we're going to go back to the BoltStack.dev. And so we're going to be using these two dialogues that I'm providing here with their code. So go to the dialog forums and copy these elements and add them into your project. So inside the components folder, so for the icons, as you can see, so this is the whole code of the icon selector. So I named the file icon selector, and also I created the dialog form.jsx, which is this one. So after doing this, the next step I'm going to show you is the icons data. So we need to store all of these icons in a place. So this is the actual icons data. So as you can see, so this is the array that I generated by using Gemini, but make sure to actually follow the structure of each object, which is the icon, and the icon need to be of icon type, and the is selected is going to be true. And then to be able to use this across all the components or all the projects, so we're going to use this in a Zest and store. So I created a new hook called use all icons, and this is a store using Zustand as a state management. So we're define how it's going to look like, and then the icons by default it's going to be the array of icons that I showed you uh, in this in the data folder. So after doing this, what I did inside the categories folder, I created a new component called the categories.input. So this is the actual file. So we're having the label, and also we're having the input, and also we're having this place to add the error. And here we are calling the icon dialog component that we get from BoltStack.dev, and we need to provide the all icons and the set all icons. So these are going to come from the use icon store and the trigger button class name, so you can change it if you want by using this prompt. So after doing this, we're going to go back to the category pages.tsx. And here we had a button, a simple button called the category, but now we're gonna use this dialog one component, which is this component. So we're gonna put it in here, and also we're gonna use all of these prompts that I'm providing in this component, the trigger item, the dialog, title, description, and for the components. So as you can see, it is an array, and here we are going to actually pass inside this dialog the category input that we just created, and you can add as many components that you want. So if we go to the uh, components. So as you can see, it's going to be a React node. So this is the type that I set for it. And if we go to the component here at the bottom, so as you can see, we're going to use it as a map function to be able to render each component. So this is the logic that I used inside this dialog form.tsx. So the layout, so you can change it from list to grid if you want to, based on what you want. The open property, it's going to be actually linked to the open dialog state that I added it. And the search is going to be, this one, the primary button. So we're having an object called primary button that has two properties, text and icon, and the secondary button, which is the cancel button. So as you can see, everything is working and we've been able to create this in very quickly. But the hardest part and the thing that really took me a lot of time is to be able to create these reusable components. So I can use them as many time as I want, and that's gonna save me a lot of time later on when I'm building projects. So after we added our category form, so the next thing that I worked on is the validation. So as you can see, I'm going to have this error, and as soon as I type in something like this and I click on add, and if I go to the console log, as you can see, well, I'm going to have this object title called text, which is the name of the category that I added inside the input. So let's go back to the VS Code to show you what I did, but also I'm going to show you um, the amazing stuff that we're having inside the dialog one component. So first thing first, I created this schema. So we're going to use Zod and React Hook form. So first we need to define our schema. So we're using Zod.object, and the title must be a string, minimum 2 characters and maximum 50 characters, and also to allow only letters. Um, we're going to use this regex uh, element here, and then we are going uh, to actually save the type or infer the category schema as a type inside the category form value, because we're going to be using it inside the React Hook form. So after we've done this, so the next thing here, we're going to create our we're going to use the use form hook, and here we're going to provide some properties, the mode, the resolver. So we're going to use the Zod resolver. So the user form and Zod and all of these libraries are already installed because I've already provided them in the package.json. And the default value is gonna have the title property, since we're using the category form value. That's going to tell to the user form how the schema it's gonna look like. So it's gonna be empty by default. And after this, inside the dialog one, so we're gonna add these properties. So I added them. So the dialog component can add you can use a normal submit, or you can use also the submit from React Hook form. So we need to add the methods property, which is the form methods. So we need to set the user form provider as true, and the handle submitted is going to be linked to the onSubmit function. So all of this is handled for you guys within the dialog one component. And finally, to be able to actually track this inside the input and the category input, so we need to do some modifications. So we need to use this use form context. So it is kind of a context API. Uh, so because we're going to use the form provider, because this is going to be within the form provider. So we need to use the use form context, and we're going to provide to know so that the user form hook know which type. So we're going to use this category or categories form value. And here we can access to the register and to the errors inside the form state. And the register, we're going to use it inside the input. And if I do this with the IntelliSense, I can only access to the title because this is what we're having inside the categories form value. And the error, it's going to be in here. So only if this is not undefined, then we can be able to access safely to the errors that title that message. So this is basically, it's very simple to set the schema and also to actually track the elements inside the category title. To validate this before you can do anything with what you provided in the dialog, and safely add this into your database if you want to. So after we added our schema and validation to our form, the next thing that I added is the ability to add a new category into the array. So here I'm going to add a new name of the category title. I'm going to choose a new icon and hit at cart. As you can see, we're having this notification with the loading spinner. And after this, we're having a success message. And if we go at the bottom, as you can see, we can be able to see our new category and the icon that we choose. So let's go back to the VS Code. And so let me get rid of this because one thing that I'm going to show you first is the hook that I newly created to be able to actually simulate the fetching of the data. So as you can see, I created a new file called use category store. So I'm going to explain everything in here. So we're using Zastend again. So just to make sure that all of these are going to be available across all the components in the application um, because we are going to use the categories area again inside the products page. And here, as you can see, we are having the categories. So it's going to have to be this type that, um, again, I'm going to show this again inside the content card.jsx. So, and we're having its setter, and also we're having the selected category. The, that could be this type or null. So we're going to use this once we start working with editing the category. We're having the is category loading. The fetch category is data, which is of type promise, which is a promise of type void. And we're having finally the add category. So this is its signature. So it has a parameter of type single content card prompts. And the promise it's going to return an object of two elements, the success as a boolean and the message as a string. So here inside the store, we are going to define the value of each property that we set inside the categories data store. So the selected category is going to be null. The categories, it's going to be an empty array. The set category, so this is how we are going to update it by using the setter provided by Sustand. The is category loading, it's going to be false. And finally, we're having the fetch method. So it is, since it is a promise, so we're going to use an async. So here we are going to actually create a new variable called timeout ID. So the reason why we are doing so just to avoid memory leaks since we're using the set timeout. So it is something that you need to be cautious with when you are using the set timeout. You need to clear the time out so to, as I said, to avoid memory leaks. And so here we are going to create a new promise, and we're gonna inside, since it is a function, and then we are going to actually create a timeout, and with the resolve parameter that we defined in the promise function, and then we are going to actually update the categories with the all categories data from the data folder that we defined or that we created in here. And finally, we are going to clear out the timeout, and then we are going to set the is category loading as false. And also we're having a new function here called the add category. So also, since it is a promise, It's going to be an async. So here we're going to use a try and catch block again. We're going to create a new promise. So since we defined the promise that will accept an object of success and message, so we need to add it in here. And finally, we are going to update our categories. So here we're going to use the three dots just to actually save and don't lose all the previous elements. And then we're going to use the new category that is coming from the parameter. And then we're going to use the resolve method to be able to actually uh, return a success object in the promise, and then we are going to make the success property as true and the message. So this is the message. And finally, we are going to clear the timeout. So if something goes wrong, we're gonna make the success as false and the message failed to add a category. So this is how we defined our use category store. Then I'm gonna go back to the categories page and I'm going to show you some of the modifications that I did to be able to add the new category. So the first modification here is uh, I added this. So we are going to actually access to the add category and the categories. And also I created the open or the is loading, which is an internal state to be able to actually create this actual spinner. So we're going to use the is loading to know whether that we are loading or not. And here inside the handle submit function, so we're going to use a try and catch block, and we're going to set the is loading as true. So just to show you what's happening in the button, so we're going to do minor modifications inside the primary button object. So the text, if it's loading, it's going to be place wait. Otherwise, it's going to be add category. So this is what I showed you. And the icon, so if it is not loading, we are going to use the add icon. Otherwise, we're going to use this loader 2 icon from Lucid Icon to be able to create this animated spinner. So now let's go back to the handle submit function. So here we're going to create our new object. So it's going to be of type single content card prompts for type safety. So the ID, we're going to use the crypto, that random UID. So this is provided by every browser. Um, and then we're going to actually set the icon by using the icons object or array that is coming from this the use icon store. So that's why we placed this icon in a state management so you can be able to access it across all the components. And also this, it's going to be reused in the products page. And we're having the title that is going to come from the data that title, the dates, we're going to create a new date, and the subtitle is going to be 0 products. And here finally we are going to use this promise method provided by the Toast library, and inside of it we're going to add the add category function that I showed you in the use category store, and we're going to add the new object or the new category object that we created. So this accepts three properties: the load-in, the success, and the error. And finally, we are going to close the dialog by making the set open dialog as false, and the is loading, it's going to be false. So hopefully that I explained everything in here to be able to add a new category. So the next step that I'm gonna get into is the modification and the deletion of the category that we want. So after we added a new product or category successfully, so the next thing that I added is the ability to edit a new or a category. So like for example, here we can be able to add or modify the category name like this, and I can choose wherever icon I want and click on edit. And as you can see, we're going to have a success message, and the or the category has been updated with its name and also the icon. So let's go back to the VS Code, and I'm gonna start from the use categories store. So a new function that I added is the update category. So it does make sense because we need a function to actually update the category that we want. So if we go all the way down, so this is the function. So it's going to be pretty much the same structure for the add category. So the only thing that is going to be changing is what's inside the set. So we're going to access to the categories property. Then we're going to use state that categories that map. And then we're going to use the ID. So we're going to check if the category to update that ID, which is coming from this prompt, is equal to the category to update. So then, uh, so this is the check, sorry. So we're going to compare this one, which is this parameter, to the cat.id, which is each category inside the categories array. So if it is true, we're going to actually return or refer to the category that we added from the prompt. Otherwise, we're going to stick with whatever category that we're having for the remaining elements. And then we're going to use the resolve method to return this object. Otherwise, if it is an error, we're going to return this object. So once we've done this here, I did so many things. So um, I'm going to start from this handle submit function. So as I said, I created the selected category just to know whether we're going to add or edit a category. So whenever I click on this element, the um, the selected category is not going to be null, so it's going to have to be assigned to the object that we clicked on. So as soon as I close the dialog, so it's going to be null. So when I click on the add category, so we're going to have the add category and it's going to be empty. So this is what we're doing, and this is the logic that I'm choosing. So here, so this is the part that we are going to use to be able to update the category. So here, as you can see, we're having some comments because one thing that I'm gonna go back to this block since we are going to start working on the products because we need also to change the categories inside the products area. So, but now we are going to focus only in the categories page. So the first thing that I'm doing here, I'm going to actually uh, create a copy of the selected category, and then we are going to update the icon and the title, and then we are going to use this copied category object, and then we're going to use it inside this update category function. And then we are going to actually set this loading false and the set is loading set open dialog as false. And also I created this use effect hook to be able to actually handle some of the things that I'm going to explain, like when the open dialog turn false to true. So when the open dialog is false, the selected category, as I said, it's going to be null. So if the selected category is null, the for methods that set value, meaning that we want every time that we are opening up the dialog, and if the selected category is not null, the title is going to be empty. Otherwise, we are going to deconstruct the selected category since that it is not null, meaning that we are going to edit the category. So we're going to actually access to only to the category icon, and then we're going to actually update the icons. So the is selected, it's going to be true only if the icon, that icon is equal to the category icon that we are having from the selected category. So every time that I click on this, as you can see, the this icon, it's going to be selected because it is coming from the selected category. So this code handles this. And then we're going to update our whole array by using the set all icons and the form that set value, which is the title property. It's going to be of the selected category that title. So, and also one last thing. So we need to actually change the dialog title based on the selected category. So if it is not null, I'm going to use the add category phrase, otherwise edit category. And also in the primary button, as you can see, I added another turning operator in this section. So if it is loading, we're going to use please wait. Else if the selected category is null, we're going to use the new category. Otherwise, we're going to use the edit category. And also, I added the same thing. This check this condition. If this is null, we're going to use the add icon. Otherwise, we're going to use the edit icon. And also we use the button prompts. So this is going to access to the native HTML of the buttons to be able to actually access to all attributes of the button. So here we're going to use only the disable. So it's going to be dependent on this condition. If it is loaded, it's going to be disabled, or if the form methods that form state is valid. That's why if we open up the category dialog, so it's going to be disabled because it's not valid yet. So once it is valid, then you can be able to access to the button, and this is what it does for us. So hopefully that I explained everything. And one last thing, we're having the on title clicked to be able to actually trigger wherever we are clicking on the title. So since implicitly access to the card ID, we're going to find the category from the categories array. So if it is found, meaning that if it is not undefined, then we're going to check if the find we are not clicking on the no categories because we want this to not do anything. So that's why we added this if statement. So if we clicked on the no categories, we're gonna return. We're gonna exit the if statement or the function. Otherwise, we're going to set the set selected category as the find category, which is this variable, and then we're gonna open up the dialog by setting it to true. So this is the logic that I did to be able to actually edit a new category, and as you can see, everything is working fine. So I need to create a drop down so you can be able to copy or delete the card that we want. So now we can be able to copy or remove a category. So if we open up the drop down and click on copy, so we're going to have a notification telling us that the actual category has been copied successfully, as you can see. And also we can be able to delete the category if we want to. So let's go back to the VS Code, and I'm going to show you how to be able to create this. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the um, categories drop-down object. Since this content card, also has a prompt called the drop-down menu. So the drop-down that I showed you before this, it was the default drop-down inside this component. But you can create or add your own drop-downs if you want to. Uh, and so this is the drop down. So the drop down, uh, it will be of this type, drop down menu, and the drop down menu. So this is the structure of it. It has the trigger property, which can be any node, and it has the items object, and those are the actual properties. So the only one that the two elements, these are mandatory, but the other ones are optional. So let's go back to our actual dropdown, and here we have in two objects, this one for the copy and the on-click event listener. So implicitly, it's gonna have the ID, as you can see. So and here, first, we're going to find the category uh, inside the categories area. So we need to find the match between the category that we clicked on and the one that is inside the categories area. So if it is not undefined, then we are going to create a new category. So we're going to use the find category. So that's why we're using the spread operator to not lose the other elements. And the only things that you are going to be changing are the title and the ID. So we need to generate a new ID because it's going to be a new item. And also for the title, we're going to just add the copy word. And then we are going to reuse the add category function, which is a promise. And that's why we're using toast promise as we did when we want to add a new category. And finally, so this is for the deletion. And again, before this, I'm going to show you the remove category, which is a new function that I created. So this is its signature. So we're going for the parameter, it's going to be only the category ID of type string, and at the bottom, so this is the actual function. So it's going to be similar like the other ones. So the only difference is what's happening inside the set. So we're going to use the filter method to be able to actually get rid from the actual category that we clicked on. So let's go back to our file, and this is how we can be able to delete our category. So this part I left it like this because when we remove a category, it needs also to be removed from the products. So we're gonna get into once we start working on the products on the products area. So this is the actual code, and I think that everything is working. The deletion, the modification, and the add-in, the search. So all the features, the basic features are working perfectly and successfully for the categories page.